Good evening and welcome to SundownSurmisings. This is actually number 37. And tonight is special because tonight we're also broadcasting for Vespers for Monterey Bay Academy, both in Hickson Hall, here on residents on our campus.
Yeah.
And so, we just want to reach out and say hello to everyone there.
So if somebody's not familiar, we are in our studio at Monterey Bay Academy in upper loft of the church. And while we do these for the church and the church community, we also do it for students. And this happens to be one of those weeks where it's like, hey guys, they're in their secluded, or what do we call it?
Their chapels, but they're their homes.
Here we go.
Yeah, they're in their homes. And so we just want to say happy Sabbath to all of you.
Happy Sabbath to them.
And we're excited. And so if you've not seen this before for the students, if you've not watched it before, we have a chance to just look at the Bible, kind of unscripted, but different stories.
Kind of unscripted.
Always unscripted.
Largely unscripted. Accidents happen. Live, yeah.
But I want Deb to tell us where we're at right now, what our themes are.
Okay, so we started in January 2021, but January 4 we kind of turned over. We finished the 1, and we started, and it's sort of a bridge. And we were looking at the white stone promise in Revelation chapter 3. And if you missed that, go back and look at it. I'll put a link down below. Really kind of cool, kind of insight as we walked through it, and that had come to me on studying it, what it meant, and how the Greek indicates what was going on.
Yeah.
That we are not condemned. That it's an echo of that John 3:16. For God so loved the world that He gave His only begotten Son, that whosoever believes in Him should not perish but have everlasting life. For God did not send His Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through Him might be saved, right? And that was kind of highlighted. And we thought, oh man, a new name, new stone. What does that mean? What do it look like? And so we're looking at 2021. We're looking at a series of stories on new starts, turning over a new leaf. Think of New Year's resolutions. And so last week, PJ started us on that second of the series with the story. And again, if you missed it, go back and watch it. Best 20 minutes, I think, of your life.
What I'm waiting for is one of the students to say, if I watch these, I get extra credit in your class.
Yeah, if they write it up, absolutely.
Okay, there you go. There you go.
Yeah, well, duh. And that was Luke 5, right?
Yeah,
that was Luke 5. And the story of the guy that down through the roof, which is, it's a great story.
Yeah,
great story. But we're going to be in Luke again tonight, Luke chapter 19, with another famous story. Mm-hmm. This one about a tree, sycamore. That's your good hint. Right? There's a song.
Yeah.
And a relatively stature-challenged person who wants to see Jesus, right? And that's what it's all about. Luke chapter 19, 1 to 10. Let's turn there. Luke chapter 19, 1 through 10. And I'm going to just set the scene by reading verse 1. But if you can read 2 through 5.
Okay.
And then I'll skip down to 8, 9, and 10, and we'll kind of go through that. But I'll read verse 1 to set the scene. Jesus entered and passed through Jericho. And right there, that would have been important to know.
Okay.
Because this is the city that is the borderline. It's the first city that when ancient Israel would have come in. It's a gateway city. It's a metropolitan. It's a cosmopolitan. It's a city that thieves hung out as people were leaving, and we have the famous story of the guy who gets ambushed along the way, right? And so it's a big area, it's a bustling area, it's a business center. It's not the cleanest place, it's a hustle bustle, like downtown New York City street type thing.
So everybody filters through this.
Everybody's filtering through, money to be made, money to be cheated. Mm-hmm. Again, you wouldn't want to hang out in some of those places after dark. And that's where Jesus comes into.
Now, you just said it briefly, but this is the same city that the Israelites walked around. So,
It's been rebuilt.
Okay.
Long time ago.
Sure. Okay, so there was a man named Zacchaeus who was a chief tax collector, and he was rich. He was trying to see who Jesus was, but was not able to because of the crowd, since he was a short man. So running ahead, he climbed up in a sycamore tree to see Jesus, since he was about to pass, that being Jesus, that way. When Jesus came to the place, he looked up and said to Zacchaeus, "Hurry, come down, because today it's necessary for me to stay at your house."
Now, the visual, as you like to say, the white space around the black letters. Some of the aces, the white space around the red letters. Here's a guy who's obviously smart. He's rich. He's rich as a publican. That would have been a problem for them. But he's pretty smart. He looks and goes, okay, there's this path with this many people, because it's a bustling area. Jesus probably isn't going to go down this road because it's kind of crowded. There's probably going to go down this one. So he has to run around the crowd because he can't get through it, because he can't get to Jesus. He can't get through the crowd. So he has to figure out some side streets and predict this is where the crowd's going to go, so he can climb up, completely lose his dignity, and wait. And he climbs and waits. And I always think, it's kind of a little bit like Noah in the ark, and you're kind of like, okay, now what? You just have to wait.
So Jesus passing through, there's a crowd. Do you think, you're talking about him being smart, which I agree with you, but do you also think that maybe he realized, or did he try, that these are the people that he takes taxes from? Maybe not let him in?
No, I felt that too, right? Because this port of call, if it's what he says, he's the chief of them, so he has people who work for him, and he probably took money from all of them.
Sure.
Right? Not just his own business, but he was like, you would say, I guess, a head CPA. And I could imagine there's some people like, yeah, get out of here, because, you want, whatever, go away, right? Because he hasn't done anything to merit being nice to.
Correct.
And he's not sure. How everybody else is treating him is like, you're a second thought, you're a this, you're a that. And nobody's letting him in. It's a lot like the last story where the guy wanted healed. Now in that sense, the guy, we don't have an indication he was, his friends. But nobody would let his friends in.
Sure. And
they kept doing this, and they, again, interesting connection between things, they come from the top down, and Zacchaeus goes to the tree, goes up again, climbs
down and up.
Yeah.
Okay, so now he's in the tree. Okay, he's in the tree. Jesus would pass by. So take us, where are you taking us now?
This to me, can you imagine, to me, his heart? He wants to say, but he clearly doesn't speak. This is the part that I always get to me. I never figure out. He's trying to see Jesus.
Right.
He's trying to muscle in, can't. He climbs a tree, but according to the passage, Jesus speaks first.
Yeah.
Maybe he was dumbfounded, maybe he was embarrassed, maybe he lost his nerve, or I don't know. But that to me it's always an indication that Jesus was like, okay, you did the best you could.
Yeah.
Hey, Zacchaeus, come on down. I want to go eat at your house. And it's pretty hard for me to go eat at your house when you're up there.
Yeah.
Let's go together, right? And the crowd would have made space for him to drop down. And what the heck,
right.
And go. But Jesus addresses him. Yes, we can say he was running to get to Jesus, but in every situation when it looks like we run after Jesus until he catches us.
Right.
It's kind of like that, right? We always think, I found Jesus. I think Jesus was looking for you a lot longer.
Yeah, true. Very true. Well, I think that, sometimes you also think about it being up there, because he wanted to see Jesus. This man has been, his fame is growing.
Yes.
People are knowing more about him, and just the way he interacts with people, and probably the way he interacts with those who are the unseen or the outcasts or the ones who are marginalized.
Yeah.
So those stories are coming out. But he's up there. I'm almost wondering when he heard his name, what was that like?
How many, I don't know, it's only Zacchaeus we know in the Bible.
Right.
Maybe he was so well known, I don't know. But since he hadn't made any contact with Jesus, he couldn't. But to be going there and say, Zacchaeus, come on down, it's like, he knows my name.
Yeah.
He knows me. He's speaking to me. And that, to me, is one half of the story. The other part that I wanted to emphasize that strikes me is sometimes we think forgiveness is the first part of that road back to community.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
But in my own journey through 12-step programs, one of the key truths is that when you begin to heal and make progress, you are to go and make amends wherever possible, as long as doing so will not injure others.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
That's a key point. And I phrased it in a way that would make more sense. And for those who've been in a 12-step program, you recognize the rule I'm talking about from the Big Blue Book. And that's what happens here. A lot of times we want to be forgiven, like, we hurt somebody and we pray to Jesus for forgiveness, and we're like, whew. But Jesus also says, now I need you to go say you're sorry there, or make amends here. And to me, one of the most powerful statements we think about worship is so cool or important. But in Matthew, Jesus says, okay, worship is important. And you're on your way to give your gift at the altar.
Mm-hmm.
If you remember you've offended somebody, leave your gift at the altar. Go make amends and then come back.
Mm-hmm.
It's like how you treat each other is more important to Jesus than what you're about to place on that
altar. Yeah.
And that's tremendous. And what we see in this story, where I want to end, and it's so hard because it really hurt, it goes against our human natures. He says, salvation's come to this house, and da-da-da-da. But verse 8, if you want to read.
Okay. But Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, look, I'll give half my possessions to the poor, Lord. And if I have extorted anything from anyone, I'll pay back 4 times as much.
And that's where Jesus says, this day is salvation come to the house. For as much as he also is the son of Abraham, for the Son of Man came to seek and save that which was lost. And I want to point out, it doesn't mean that Jesus doesn't, salvation doesn't have, he didn't earn it.
Right.
But what he did was demonstrate what he was inside to other people, and Jesus can make that pronouncement. In the same way, we know that Peter didn't need Jesus to say, Peter, do you love me?
Right.
Peter, do you love me? Peter, do you love me? But Peter needed to say, yes, Lord. And they needed to hear, yes, he does. Yes, he does. And these people would have been like, wow, did you hear what he said? It's one thing when, Jesus accepts anybody. But Jesus had the kind of impact on people.
Right.
That they wanted to be like him.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what it's about. When you fall in love with Jesus, that is, my kids in my class know, I only care that they learn to fall in love with Jesus, because I believe if you fall in love with Jesus, the rest will take care of it.
Well, sometimes, one of the things that I've always wondered about the Bible, and sometimes you've alluded to some of the time passing, it looks like in this story, but Zacchaeus stood there and said to the Lord, look, that transformation happened between the tree to the ground.
Yeah.
He recognized something in Jesus. Just the recognition Jesus had in him just transformed him.
Yeah. And like the paralytic being let down, this guy climbs down, and the transformation happens at the feet of Jesus.
Wow, that's awesome.
Right? Always the case. New life for him, for his friends, at cost and payback, and those are both part and parcel. God forgives, and he wants us to make amends, to turn over a new life, to reestablish those connections that maybe we've broken with people.
Yeah, exactly. Well, we want to thank you on behalf of Doug and myself for joining us tonight. If you want to reach out to us, you're welcome to email us. It'll be right here, principal@MontereyBayAcademy.org, or dgregory@MontereyBayAcademy.org. And we look forward to seeing you, those of you who've tuned in, to see you again next week. We'll be back with you. And Monterey Bay Academy, we thank you for joining us again tonight for your Vespers program. Thanks for being here.
See you guys next week.
Bye.
Bye.